Right, all. So, as you no doubt aware, obviously we're coming up to Halloween, and I thought it'd be time to share a little Halloween tale from 6 years ago. So I just started my photography back then, started doing my street photography, and this time 6 years ago I'll be up in the northwest, in particular in Burnley. So it was my first visit to Burnley. Now, I had a wander around the town, and I remember photographing some weird looking coat of arms, like a heron or something, I think it is, or a stork. But anyway, I was walking back to my car after I walked around the town, and as I was coming down this road where I parked up, there was a what I assumed was a taxi place. It didn't actually say anything on the place, it just had a crown though, so I'm presuming it was like Crown Taxi or something like that. But what really caught my eye was these three schoolgirls sat inside there, you know, all on iPhones, just sat there randomly in this taxi rank, and behind the desk was this Asian lad, like middle-aged Asian bloke. And obviously we all know what happened in places like Rotherham, Rochdale, and still probably goes on, and the list is endless. Oxford, Newcastle, these grooming gangs that are taking place all across the country. It's happened everywhere. It's not just Rotherham and Rochdale, obviously. So back then, you know, I was a lot quieter, a lot shyer, and I suppose you could say a bit of a coward, but at the same time, not so long before, when I'd left Colchester, a white lad had tried to stop a group of Africans assaulting this woman, and the woman turned around, and I think she either stabbed him or she did something bad. She glassed him or something like that. So yeah, so this English woman was getting assaulted by an African lad. Little did he know that the African lad was in a relationship with this woman, and then he ended up getting assaulted really badly for it. And I also was aware these young schoolgirls were probably being groomed, literally, in a lot of ways, to the point where they were brainwashed into believing that the Muslim lads were on their side. They were giving them phones, drugs, drink, you know. So you only have to watch that Three Girls program that was on BBC, and it was all about conditioning them to see, like a Stockholm syndrome, but they'd see their abusers as their sort of saviours in some way, because they give them all these nice things to keep them happy. So I was aware of that. So what I decided to do was literally just sit in my car and watch what happened. And what happened was basically a taxi pulled up, and the girl got out of the taxi rank and got in the car, and then off it went. She didn't look particularly distressed. She didn't look like stressed out about the situation. She certainly wasn't dragged in or anything like that. That was the only time I'd have to get involved if it was getting kind of along them lines. The next one pulled up, the next taxi came along for the next schoolgirl. She got out, she didn't look particularly bothered either. She got in the taxi, off it went. And then the final one, which confirmed my suspicions, these two Asian lads pulled up in another car, beeped the horn. The girl came halfway out, she was smiling, laughing, waved at the two Muslim lads in the car. Then she went back inside into the taxi rank, and they started beeping the horn again, and she was laughing and giggling as she got into the taxi, and then off the taxi went. Now, if you're as gullible, naive and brain dead as, say, James O'Brien or LBC presenters or LBC listeners, the fucking lefties that live in a delusional fantasy world where we all hold hands and skip around together of all different ethnicities and colours, what you're going to probably believe is that they went off to some seminar together, or they were taking them for a nice romantic dinner, or even if they were, that'd be wrong anyway, because they're school kids. Why are they hanging around with middle-aged men or men in their 20s? So my suspicions can only lead me to one thing that was going on. If I'm wrong, because when I was in Burnley not long after, I understand the layout of the town now. If I'm wrong, then I apologise, but I don't think I am. the police station was only 200-300 metres around the corner from this Crown's taxi place, and when I went back there during cough 19 in 2020 or 2021, I went back into the town. It was completely deserted and dead, obviously, that day. But when I went into there was some young lads in there this time, not young girls, but it looked a bit more along the lines of they were in there sort of just hanging around rather than being involved in anything insidious or dodgy. So it made me question myself whether I just imagined the whole thing, that maybe they were just genuinely getting a taxi. But the whole thing just did not sit well with me, that you got 3 young girls, probably all around 14-15 years old, in little short skirts, waiting for a load of Asian men to drive them off in taxis, with all that's happened in recent years. You see what I'm saying? As I say, if I'm wrong, then fair enough, I owe the place an apology. But I'm just sharing what I saw and what I suspected. So I will leave it to your opinions. If there's anyone from Burnley, then why aren't you going out? If I would suggest that you go and film this, is what I'd suggest. Don't get involved until you confirm something or you're aware, but there's nothing stopping you literally sitting in your car opposite that place and filming it if there is something like that going on. Because remember, this is 6 years ago I'm talking here. Has things changed at all? I'd like to go back to Burnley, but I've got other places to go and do. But yeah, if you're from the northwest, I would just advise that you go over to Burnley, find Crown's taxi if it still exists. It's not far from the police station, and just sit and observe in the evening if you've got the time. But that's my little Halloween story from 6 years ago. I've never talked about it before. If I was back there now, I'd film it, I'd stick it on YouTube and let people speculate. Does bring a lot of questions into the police, but as I say, can I confirm that anything really dodgy was going on? I can't. It's all speculation. But I also tried to follow the final taxi with the 2 lads in there and the 1 girl. I tried to follow it into the night, but the evening rush hour traffic at Burnley, it was just too much, and we got separated. Especially not being from around there, so I don't understand at the time I didn't understand the road layout. So that being said, as I say, if someone's around that area, go and have a look, go and film it. But I'll do. So,